Munson, and welcome to Thanet Writers meets Connor Sansby, the publisher and owner and managing director of Whisky and Beers publishing house, and also a non-fiction and fiction writer in his own right. Connor, welcome to Thanet Writers.
Thank you for having me.
So let's actually start. I want to start with Whisky and Beers itself. First of all, talk us through the name of Whisky and Beers, although I might have an impression of part of that anyway. And also, actually, more seriously, the philosophy and ethos kind of behind it as well.
It originally started, a friend of mine who's also a writer, we were going to set up the company together, and he looks like a barbarian, long hair, huge beard, and we were going to go in together, but he didn't end up getting the work in on time, and I already had this for facial hair, which pales in comparison to his. It's a much better beard than mine, and we have a mutual love of whiskey.
Okay.
Why has no one got that brand name already? So we decided to go forward with it, with just me, and he'd catch up one day.
Okay. Has he caught up yet?
We have put out a book by him now, but he doesn't like the admin side of things.
Oh, okay.
So he just likes the writing. So it's my baby. And he's part of it in that way.
But so he's one of the creative forces, one of the authors, rather than...
He's one of the people that I bounced a lot of the paperwork at the beginning off.
Right.
How should we do things? The ethos behind the company was a big sort of statement that we wanted to make.
So why is Whisky and Beer kind of... What sets it apart from other perhaps small independent publishers?
We are... I jokingly refer to ourselves as a super indie. There is very, very little in the way of funding, and that puts some people off, and that's absolutely understandable. But we also only take 10% off a writer. There are publishing houses that will take up to 70%, which I think's immoral.
Yeah.
And obviously coming from the whole punk DIY scene, it didn't make sense to me. So I make most of my money obviously off my own stuff, and little bits here and there from helping other people put out their work.
Right.
Obviously people retain their rights. At the end of a year, people have the option of taking back their manuscript and deciding we didn't do it, didn't go well with Whisky and Beers. You know, I think I'd rather shop it somewhere else, and that's totally within their rights too. Because they're the artist, they're the person who's put the work in.
Right.
I've just applied some of the knowledge that I know, and knowledge doesn't really cost me anything.
Well, yeah, absolutely, but it's kind of something you've gained over time.
Yeah, sure, but it's from doing my own stuff, and as I say, if I already know how to format an ebook, it just makes sense to not let someone else access that time and effort that I've put in. If I can say I work very quickly in general because I know what I'm doing. It's not a speculative process.
Yeah.
So yeah, an afternoon's work, and I can make the long-term money off that.
You make it sound so easy.
It took about 6 months of learning everything to do with the process, and then now I don't really have to learn anything. I pick up little bits here and there, but
I mean, because you were saying earlier as well, just to cover this, obviously one of your big passions seems to be kind of first-time authors as well.
Yeah, when I found out that there were people who were not even being allowed to be considered for their manuscripts because they didn't have an established presence already, it seemed ridiculous to me. It's that, looking for someone who's 18 with 20 years experience for a job, and that's nonsense.
Yeah.
And if they're prepared to put in the work and work for someone like a super indie like me, they should be able to go somewhere.
Yeah.
So we offer them that, in some ways a brutal platform.
Yeah.
But it shows down the line.
I mean, so what in that case? What does an ideal book look like for you? If someone wanted to submit to you, what? I mean, romance?
In terms of genre, I say the company remit is weird stuff, things that may not necessarily find a home elsewhere.
Okay.
So I write a lot of stuff about the occult personally.
Yeah.
I wrote an ebook about doll magic recently, little voodoo dolls, puppets, that sort of thing, and it would be very difficult to shop that to a traditional publishing house.
Yeah.
Poetry is notorious for poetry doesn't sell. I've put out 2 or 3 different books of poetry from various authors. As well, some people quite like actually the ethos of quite nice as a company.
Yeah.
You know, we did actually just have a meeting with one of our writers who decided, I want to stay with you guys, you're fun. It was like, okay.
Which is a compliment, I think, to that ethos.
Absolutely.
In that case. Yeah.
You know, it is work, but that doesn't mean that you have to be dry and dull the whole time.
If you can enjoy yourself at the same point.
Exactly. As a creative, that's what you're really chasing.
Yeah.
Um,
Actually, talk about being creative. As a super indie, as the owner, founder, publisher, editor-in-chief, T-boy, etc.
Janitor,
yeah. Obviously, your investment is perhaps that traditional yet newer style of publishing. Now, obviously, the publishing field is opening up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where do you stand on kind of self-publishing? What's your take on that?
Well, obviously, a lot of the tools that I use are of the self-publishing industry.
Yeah.
I think it's great. As I say, people are able to take control of their own work, and companies that are exploiting their authors shouldn't be able to make a living.
Right.
Because they're evil.
Yeah.
It should be do good and make money.
Mm.
That's the goal. And it's a hard balance, but it's worth it overall.
Actually, it's a perfect opportunity. I want to come back to Whisky and Beers and talk a bit more about that, but I want to talk about your own writing, because obviously you've talked about the fact that you're a writer as well as a publisher, and you write both fiction and non-fiction.
And poetry.
And poetry as well, yeah, absolutely. You're kind of a renaissance man of writing, maybe, in that sense. I mean, for you, do you have a preference? What's on the horizon for you?
I mean, creatively, obviously, I get a lot of satisfaction from the fiction side of things. But I think it's harder work. Not just because you are inventing something completely from scratch, but because you're directly putting your personality, your thoughts and feelings into a work. With non-fiction, the story already exists, and it's about you writing properly to get that across.
How many fiction titles have you published yourself?
Fiction titles, one novel, one novella, and I'm just about to put out a short story collection within the next week.
Okay, so fairly soon.
Very soon. I believe 4 days.
Yeah.
If I can hit all my deadlines, 4 days.
Okay, no pressure.
No pressure at all. Who
Well,
doesn't love it?
well-
It's a game.
I'll believe you on that. Okay, I'll take your word on that. We'll kind of bring things to a close with kind of one question split into two parts in that case. I mean, what's next for you as a writer, and what's next for Whisky and Beards as a publishing house?
For me personally, I'll be putting out the short story collection, which is titled "I Am Not a Well Person."
Now, is that one a particular? Well, perhaps by its title it indicates it is.
They're all short stories based around aspects of my mental health from what I consider to be the worst time in my life.
Okay.
I'm not thinking about that anymore. I help a lot of people get their first step in a career that people can chase their whole lives, and I'm part of that, and that's fantastic. Who could not be happy when they're in that situation?
Yeah.
And now I'm extremely grateful that I've got where I am, that I'm doing what I do, and as I say, I am, for want of a better word, better.
Right.
Um,
I mean, so in terms of actually that book of short stories, then that
Yeah.
short stories. I mean, for you, did you find that quite a cathartic experience to write?
Yes, I mean, a lot of the things that brought on the dark times were very, I think, complicated issues. For example, one of them was an abusive relationship, and I'm a big, strong, bearded guy, and people don't tend to talk about that. So I have a story in there called "Paint Me," which is an extended metaphor for my time in that relationship. And I want people to identify with aspects in there. Obviously, there's another novel that I'm working on that will be coming out end of next year. There is also a couple of pieces of non-fiction again, coming out throughout the year. There'll be another volume of my educational series on magic. Magic is bullshit. There'll be one on mean magic, which obviously people claim played part in the recent elections in America.
Yeah.
And there will be something on herbology as well.
Interesting.
So nice and busy.
Yeah.
As a publisher,
I was going to say, what about Whisky and Beards in that case? So obviously, there's a side. I'm about to say a sideline, but it's really not. Sorry, that's not how you.
No, it's
puts you everywhere.
it all sews together.
Yeah.
We today are doing the book launch at Waterstones in Rose Lane for Alex Dulles' Everything is Terrible.
Fantastic. So you're literally dashing over.
Poetry collection of his. I will be there quite soon.
Yeah.
Alex Dulles is the poet in residence for a number of different sections of Canterbury. It's hard to find a place in Canterbury that his poetic reach has not extended to yet. So I'm really glad to have this work out.
And what's his title again?
Everything is Terrible.
Well, look, thank you so much for coming, and thank you for making the time. I know you've got a dash off, but it's been lovely to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, my thanks to Conor Sansby, our guest today, for coming all the way here and talking to us. I'm Matthew Munson, and on behalf of Thanet Writers, thank you for watching.